So Soleil, I've seen her give talks. She's an apps engineer at Mozilla, and so I've seen her give various talks on cool things at JavaScript conferences on web audio and APIs and web components and stuff like that. But today she's trying something braver, and we're really excited to see she's giving a non-technical talk that's going to, I think, be pretty inspirational. So everybody give a hand to Soleil.
That was too excessive. So hi, I'm Soledad, and I was here this year, so I'm kind of super excited to be back. I work at Mozilla, and get ready for some game here. So I work with this fantastic person who's Jen. I'm probably the only person that calls her Jen. Everyone knows her as Edna Piranha. And with her, we made this thing that maybe you know about. And we also do things like running. When we get together in the same city, we go running together, which is great. And she always beats me to that because she's like amazing in every level. And I also try to teach her Spanish. I was trying to teach her how to laugh heavily in Spanish, which is ho, 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 ho. And she was doing it great. And obviously I was like replying with the proper sincere laughter in Spanish, which is ha, 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 ha. And that was in IRC. In Mozilla, we use IRC a lot because we are so distributed. She's in Portland and I'm in London. So IRC is kind of asynchronous, and it doesn't depend on Google changing the version of the plugin and that kind of horrible things. And sometimes we have confessions time. So one of those days, there was more people in this channel, and one of them say, both you and Edna Piranha are my role models. And I was like, hey, wait, this is serious. And that person continued, I'm afraid that anything I do will be poop. It's going to be mediocre. And I was like, stop that there. And then that went on. Like, I look at your repos, and I see all those amazing projects there. And I was like, what? It doesn't make any sense because this person is someone I admire myself. So I didn't understand why all this role model thing and fear and thing. Like, this person is creative, is funny, knowledgeable. They could do anything they wanted, but they are afraid of failure. And that's so sad, like so incredibly sad. And actually this happened when I was in Mountain View. So I couldn't sleep, and that night my brain was like going on this thing, so sad, so super sad, and it escalated. How many more people are afraid of this? And I obviously was like terrible, lots of numbers, and there's so much wasted potential. And I was just thinking about this when Kay was this morning speaking about diversity. We're losing so much potential because people are scared of participating in our things. And this is not sad, this is just daily tragic. This is terrible. And obviously, I'm an engineer, and I want to fix things. So I was like, why is this happening? So obviously, I need to do this silly thing. I need to put some props. I put my intellectual glasses, and I was like, I need to find out what's going on. And so I need to find a way to at least help my friend and stop this tragedy, which is really worrying me. So I went browsing. I don't mean that I went shopping. I went to the internet. And I found talks on success, lots of talks on success, how to empower the web, junk-busting, efficient, novel, all amazing. And then I also found positions for heroes, ninja level, Photoshop slicers, what else? Experts, and some senior DevOps hero, 25 heroes, the go-to person, ninja. It's just JavaScript ninja, many of them. And then also arbitrary rankings. According to this thing, like on the 3% top JavaScript activity ranking for something. And that's stupid. There's people who are way more active than I am. So I was like, this is forcing people to try to be a code hero. And now I can read this because I can't see you. So there's this massive thing where they are trying to answer to this mythological figure of the code hero, and that's really bad because they assume once you become this superhero, you're cool, and everything you work in is going to be successful, and all the talks are going to be great, and you're never going to fail again, and it will be cool, right? Well, I don't think so. Maybe it's not good. There's this massive dissonance between the kind of image that these heroes are projecting is just like a sanitized version of how they actually are. And then the actual them is so much different. But newcomers and the rest of the people who are not heroes just see the massive figure. They try to be that, and it's so far away from what they actually could be doing. It's just so like, I will never be hip. I just can't. So it's so sad, and it's unhealthy, because we're trying to be something that is impossible to be. No one's perfect on this kind of field. So I think instead of this, we should be speaking more about this. People, the bad parts, misery, like the real us. So let me start by telling you the truth about heroes. They are struggling with fear. They are not perfect. They are human, and like you and like me. So that's how we are all together. So this is a hero in his free time. That's how I feel often when I'm like, I just wish I could just hide under my table and just get drunk and pass out and forget about everything. But I suppose I'm a hero, and what's the difference between me and you? So I try to look at, be reflective and understand what's the difference between the rest of the not successful people who are not in the rankings. So the first thing is you learn from failure. And here there's a very good quote from Edison, or attribute to Edison, Thomas Edison, when he was trying to find a material for the filament in the light bulb. He had spent like a year finding out materials, and there was the journalist, this cheeky journalist, hey Edison, how does it feel to fail 10,000 times? He was like, I have not failed once. I just know 10,000 ways it cannot work. So that's, for me, it's like super inspiring. I don't even care that it's not something that Edison said. Some people said it was Franklin's, but I don't care. It's just the idea of failing at something is not failing, is learning about the domain. So the next time you try something, you have information. You know what you don't need to do or what you should not be doing. And that way you know if you're progressing or not. If you're just changing things randomly, you don't know what you're doing. You're just like hoping it will suddenly start working, and that's not scientific, or it's not even useful. So progress is knowing where you are, where you were, what you changed, and what changed when you change the input. All the things that we don't compare with others. Once you start doing this trial and error and you start getting experience, that kind of becomes magic. It's this gut feeling that you just do something, it's like, no, don't do this thing because it's going to fail. But someone who hasn't seen you go through the process, thinks that it's just natural, like playing an instrument, and they try that because we make things look easy. And they're like, I'm just going to try to do this thing as well. So they try, say, to learn JavaScript, and they try to learn Bower and NPM and all those things, and it's like, I just can't deal with this thing. This is so hard. No one told me it was so hard. And it's like, well, you just look at the output, at the final thing, and you didn't look at all the previous thing. So if you compare with others, you're going to have a hard time. Instead, what you should be thinking of is that heroes are in a different scale. They are just like this kind of huge level of achievements and successes. Instead, what you need to do is zoom out in your level, and what looks like a flat line, if you start zooming in, it's like you've got local minimums and maximums. For you, it's a maximum. And what's important here is that you keep growing. You need to make sure that you keep going upwards, and upwards. This is me drawing in Inkscape, and I'm sorry about that. But it was the best I could do. And also with the touchpad, it's like really, really complicated. So yeah, but basically you need to be growing, going upwards. That's the proof that you're progressing. For this, it's good to keep a diary. So even if you just make some progress, just one little thing, just make a note of that. And encourage yourself. Why not encouraging yourself? It's stupid to be like torturing. I'm so bad, I just did one thing today. I mean, many achievements together is a great achievement. So take care of yourself in that sense. Or you could also have a blog where you say, I'm trying to do X, and I'm getting Y, and I don't know why. And next day you find out. And when you come back the previous year, I mean, you look at code from the previous year, you're like, I'm so much better now. So looking at your things, you won't get depressed. You need to play in the same league. And also, other thing we do is we build many things. This is all the repo from Jen. That's insane, but obviously shows that she's playing with many things, and she's not putting all her ideas in just one, or as you would say, you don't put all your bets in one car. If something fails, it's okay. You just move to the next thing. So for this, you need to be like a huge prototyper. You need to have this mindset where you develop something, try it out. If it doesn't work, quickly, you change to something else, you pivot, you try to find why it didn't work, so you learn from your initial. So it's not like these people who are like, I'm just going to build the next big project, like the person before said, like, you don't need to do everything like the next Facebook. So they are like, yeah, sign in my email, like send me your email, and when my product is out, I will let you know. And that's 3 years later, they release that thing. No one cares, because they don't even answer for a problem that exists, but because they didn't prototype or iterate. And the other thing is that we are luckier than the rest, which is totally false. The only thing is that you increase the probability. The more things you do, the more probabilities you got of being in the right time, in the right place at the right time. The other things, you should not be afraid of giving projects up. You grow, you change. Things that were challenging for you are not challenging anymore. Like, I don't know, like reflection on PHP. That was challenging in 2006. I'm not interested in that anymore. I'm not even maintaining those projects. So if you have a project which is not open source, maybe make it open source and forget about that thing. If it's open source and it doesn't have a maintainer who's step up for you, maybe no one's using it. So just forget about that thing as well. And in general, it's okay to leave things out and behind. And the more you do it, the easier it is. And I know it's hard to start because it's our brainchild. But you should do that thing, because otherwise you don't have room for new things. You kind of have a platter brain, and that's awful. And also, something else we do is purposely engage in activities which are outside of our field of expertise. So, for example, joining a user group where you've never been. Like the first time I went to a user group, I was terrified. I was like, oh my God, they're going to be like asking me all the questions, and they didn't care about me. It was fine. So the next time I went, I was like, hey. So that kind of interaction is really good, because it's kind of controlled fear. So it's exercising your fear muscle, and it grows like proper muscles. And the next time you're facing that kind of stress, your muscle is like, hi, I'm ready for anything. I just went through this before, so I don't care. So you exercise your muscle, you also get new perspectives. So then when you go back to your normal chair, your body and your brain is kind of ready for anything, and they've got new ideas that you got while you were doing this other new thing. And, well, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, the other thing is while you do these new things, you are going to be a total newbie. So you don't have this pressure to be fantastic as you would have in your normal field of expertise. So it's okay if you delete everything in the server because you're a newbie. Or that kind of errors, it's totally fine. If you're trying to paint and you just drop lots of drops of paint in the paper, it's okay as well. So once you understand that errors are fine, you can welcome them into your normal process. And here I can I can show you a little bit of. I tried to do something for a Halloween year a couple of years ago, and I wanted to learn how to play with Box2D, the physics engine. So I thought I'll just do some kind of. Let me go full screen in this weird way of being full screen. So I did this thing, and obviously the physics were not really well tuned, and it just went away. So as you can see, it's like really miserable. It's like, and it was like, okay, I need to tune this thing out much better. So let's try again. So I'll just hang them here, hoping that way I can adjust the joints. But then I realized, see, I haven't touched anything, but they are like getting out of whack again. And I noticed that if I just pull a little bit here, it becomes this kind of monstrous thing. And they start walking by itself, which is really scary. And I was like, this is outright creepy. No, this has to be child safe. So I was like, okay, let's have some textures and bones and skeletons and things. And that was okay, but still look, they are kind of moving by themselves, which is creepy. So I sent this thing to people, and I was like, hey, what do you think about this? Is this cool for Halloween? And they were like, I don't know, I guess I can drag things, and fine. So it wasn't, I was trying that, it doesn't really work. See, that's the thing, that's the error. I was like, how can I fix it? Oh, maybe I shouldn't fix this thing. So I was like, I'm just going to leave this in, I'm going to make it more funny. So I added this. Well, this is the final result. Oh, internet, it works, amazing. So this is the other version. This is the final thing. But then here I added this thing where you can generate crap. So you could generate lots of crap, and it's more satisfying. And then I realized that you could generate things and somehow put a bone in the neck. This is torture. And see, when it's got the bone, it kind of reacts, and the physics just get creepy and totally, see, it's like it's got this same beat to dance, and it's so scary. So this is the kind of thing, I wasn't looking for this. I actually wanted to do something normal, but I ended up with this, and I'm really happy about that thing. And I guess if I was like a traditional programmer, I would be like, no, it has to be the right thing. I would be just fighting against the physics engine. I don't care, it's fine. As these guys say, it's not a mistake, it's just a happy accident. And other thing that you could do is just actually look for errors intentionally. That generally means using math random. But it doesn't mean that everything has to look random, but that you need to use some source of randomness in your project. For example, I made this using a machine that just generates songs by itself. But I'm not just generating random songs, but I'm using some base scales. So I tell to this thing, hey, pick some notes from this scale, make a song, and play it for like 8 loops, and then create another one. So that way it sounds good. This is generated by the computer right now. And when I did this thing, someone came from Norway every day and spent 3 hours listening to this. So analytics are really good for making sure that your thing is engaging people or not. And you can also randomize that again if you don't like that song. But yeah, it's kind of weird in general. And then we also have a failure. Like the first test I did for the skeletons, if I had been like serious, I would be like so depressed. Like I am not good for physics. I just should give up. But that doesn't make any sense. You should never let these kind of problems bother you. If you have an error, just meet with someone and tell them your horrible issues and laugh at that thing, or listen to uplifting music, or just go for a run or whatever. But just don't let this thing depress you. And again, this has lots of relation to this, to getting relativity. I don't mean quantum physics. I have no idea if Jen knows about that. I don't know much. But the idea is that normally this is just a website. And I am the worst person at getting relativity because I make problems bigger than they are. I am this type of person that wakes up at night because she's got an algorithm running in her head for hours. And I need to wake up and I need to read something and forget what I was dreaming or having a nightmare about because I just can't sleep. And that's not healthy. But that wasn't the worst. The worst was the day that I woke up and I just couldn't move. I had this totally blocked. I just couldn't move. I couldn't even get out of my bed. I had to roll somehow because at least the legs were okay. And I ended up in my floor crying because I couldn't move. And that's because I had to finish a website. And that's stupid. That's, as Kate would say, fucking stupid. And I don't want that to happen ever again. So nothing is as important as your health. So compared to your health, a website is relatively low important. So I think that, conclusions time. You are awesome, and weak, and scared, and so I am, and that's okay. So you need to be always relearning, always on the lookout for what's going on, and what is the difference between what happened before and what's going on now. Care for yourself. If you don't care for yourself, no one's going to care for you. Like they were like, but she doesn't care, so why should I? Ask for help. Don't be afraid of asking for help. I was really afraid of doing that at the beginning. I'm now like the most annoying person asking for feedback and questions for everything. And that's really good because you get so many good ideas. And once you become a hero, help others. And again, I'm citing Kate again. When you help others, you're going to be learning from them as well. And it's going to enlighten you as well. So I don't think we need no-code heroes. I'm not going to sing anything. But we need more teamwork. And we need more hacks when we fail. And with that, I'm going to thank you for going through this thing. And maybe see you in London.